Okay, welcome back, warrior. We are on Alma chapter 58 now. Pretty wild. We are getting so close to finishing Alma. Alma has 43 chapters, and it's just wild to think that we're almost done with it. But I guess when they group them up with 10 chapters at a time, it does kind of make it easier to cover all that ground. Okay, so the chapter summary is Helaman, Gid, and Tiamner take the city of Manti by a stratagem. The Lamanites withdraw. The sons of the people of Ammon are preserved as they stand fast in defense of their liberty and faith. Okay. I have like really chapped lips right now. Here we are. Let's see, what time is it? Ooh, we are getting close. We're going to be interviewing somebody today for Snowco, and I want to make sure I'm not late to that. So anyways, here we go. It says, and behold, now it came to pass that our next object was to obtain the city of Manti. But behold, there was no way we could lead them out of the city by our small bands. For behold, they remembered that which we had hitherto done. Therefore, we could not decoy them away from their strongholds. Okay, so they were remembering the other strategies that they had. And so the Lamanites are learning the strategies of the Nephites. And so it's like really hard for them to do the same things over again. So you gotta be original in your strategy. But I'm sure that there's only so much you can do during war, you know? Okay. And they were so much more numerous than was our army that we durst not go forth and attack them in their strongholds. Yea, it became expedient that we should employ our men to the maintaining those parts of the land which we had regained of our possessions. Therefore, it became expedient that we should wait, that we might receive more strength from the land of Zarahemla, and also a new supply of provisions. Okay. So since the Lamanites were more numerous than the Nephite armies, they needed to decoy them away. But the Lamanites remembered that strategy, right? So anyway, so they decided that they should just wait for more soldiers and more supplies. Okay, so verse 4 to 9 says, and it came to pass that I thus did send an embassy to the governor of our land to acquaint him concerning the affairs of our people. And it came to pass that we did wait to receive provisions and strength from the land of Zarahemla. But behold, this did profit us but little, for the Lamanites were also receiving great strength from day to day, and also many provisions, and thus were our circumstances at this period of time. So it's just like everybody's at like this standstill, but you know, people are taking advantage of this time to strengthen their armies and stuff like that. But the Nephites felt like they needed extra help, but they were not getting it. And the Lamanites were sallying forth against us from time to time, resolving by stratagem to destroy us. Nevertheless, we could not come to battle with them because of their retreats and their strongholds. And it came to pass that we did wait in these difficult circumstances for the space of many months, even until we were about to perish for the want of food. So they're like really needing supplies now. Verse 8, but it came to pass that we did receive food, which was guarded to us by an army of 2,000 men to our assistance. And this is all the assistance which we did receive to defend ourselves and our country from falling into the hands of our enemies, yea, to contend with an enemy which was innumerable. And now the cause of these are embarrassments, or the cause why they did not send more strength unto us, we knew not. Therefore we were grieved and also filled with fear, lest by any means the judgments of God should come upon our land to overthrow and utter destruction. So why didn't the governor send more help is what he's wondering, right? Therefore, we did pour out our souls in prayer to God that he would strengthen us and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies, yea, and also give us strength that we might retain our cities and our lands and our possessions for the support of our people. Yea, it came to pass that the Lord our God did visit us with assurances that he would deliver us, yea, insomuch that he did speak peace to our souls, and did grant unto us great faith, and did cause us that we should hope for our deliverance in him. And we did take courage with our small force which we had received, and were fixed with a determination to conquer our enemies and to maintain our lands and our possessions and our wives and our children and the cause of our liberty. And thus we did go forth with all our might against the Lamanites, who were in the city of Manti. And we did pitch our tents by the wilderness side, which was near to the city. Okay, hold on. All right. And it came to pass, that's okay. And it came to pass that on the morrow, that when the Lamanites saw that we were in the borders, okay, and it came to pass that on the morrow, that when the Lamanites saw that we were in the borders by the wilderness, which was near the city, that they sent out their spies round about us, that they might discover the number and the strength of our army. And it came to pass that when they saw that we were not strong, according to our numbers, and fearing that we should cut them off from their support, except they should come out to battle against us and kill us, and also supposing that they could easily destroy us with their numerous hosts, therefore they began to make preparations to come out against us to battle. And when we saw that they were making preparations to come out against us, behold, I caused that Gid, with a small number of men, should secrete himself in the wilderness, and also that Teomner and a small number of men should secrete themselves also in the wilderness. Secrete feels like not a good word. It's probably secret. Okay, there's a quote from Elder David A. Bednar. Blessings of peace. Okay, the quote, the stripling warriors in the Book of Mormon prayed earnestly that God would strengthen and deliver them out of the hands of their enemies. Interestingly, the answers to these prayers did not produce additional weapons or an increased number of troops. Instead, God granted these faithful warriors assurance that he would deliver them, peace to their souls, and great faith and hope for their deliverance in him. Thus the sons of Helaman did take courage, were fixed with a determination to conquer, and did go forth with all their might against the Lamanites. Assurance, peace, faith, and hope initially might not seem like the blessings warriors in battle might want, but they were precisely the blessings that these valiant young men needed to press forward and prevail physically and spiritually. End quote. Ooh, I love that. October 2013 General Conference. Sometimes we do just need that peace, because we just have this chaos going on all around us. And so if we can just feel that peace, that everything's going to be okay, that is just like what we want to hear sometimes, So they knew they didn't have enough soldiers, but they also trusted in the Lord. So they poured out their souls in prayer. That's what they did. And then this was all they needed. Peace was enough. They had learned that faith was their most powerful weapon, so they did not wait for more reinforcements. Instead, they went forth with all their might. Their strategy was to have Helaman and the stripling warriors pitch their tents near the city on the side that was by the wilderness. Then the Lamanites learned through their spies that it was not a large army out there, and they became concerned that this army would cut off their provisions they had done before. The Lamanites began to make preparations for war, so Helaman had Gid and a small army hide in the wilderness on one side, and Teomner and his small army hide in the wilderness on the other side. Ooh, nice. Okay, verse 17. Now Gid and his men were on the right and others on the left, and when they had thus secreted themselves, secreted seems really gross. And I don't think that's the right word anyway. Secreted themselves. So we're going to say it that way. Behold, I remained with the remainder of my army in that same place where we had first pitched our tents against the time that the Lamanites should come out to battle. And it came to pass that the Lamanites did come out with their numerous army against us. And when they had come and were about to fall upon us with the sword, I caused that my men, those who were with me, should retreat into the wilderness. And it came to pass that the Lamanites did follow after us with great speed, for they were exceedingly desirous to overtake us, that they might slay us. Therefore they did follow us into the wilderness, and we did pass by in the midst of Gid and Teomner, insomuch that they were not discovered by the Lamanites. And it came to pass that when the Lamanites had passed by, or when the army had passed by Gid and Teomner, Gid and Teomner did rise up from their secret places and did cut off the spies of the Lamanites, that they should not return to the city. And it came to pass that when they had cut them off, they ran to the city and fell upon the guards, who were left to guard the city, insomuch that they did destroy them and did take possession of the city. So the city of Manti was rescued. Now this was done because the Lamanites did suffer the whole army, save a few guards only, to be led away into the wilderness. And it came to pass that Gid and Teomner by this means had obtained possession of their strongholds. And it came to pass that we took our course after having traveled much in the wilderness towards the land of Zarahemla. And when the Lamanites saw that we were marching toward the land of Zarahemla, they were exceedingly afraid, lest there was a plan laid to lead them to destruction. Therefore they began to retreat into the wilderness again, yea, even back by the same way which they had come. And behold, it was night, and they did pitch their tents. For the chief captains of the Lamanites had supposed that the Nephites were weary because of their march, and supposing that they had driven their whole army, therefore they took no thought concerning the city of Manti. Now it came to pass that when it was night, I caused my men should not sleep, but that they should march forward by another way towards the land of Manti. See, sometimes you don't need sleep. And because of this, our march in the nighttime, behold, on the morrow we were beyond the Lamanites, insomuch that we did arrive before them at the city Manti. Nice. Which I like, it's so funny. We talk about sleep all the time. There's so many studies, you got to sleep, and then it's like, don't sleep. And then if you don't sleep, it's bad. And your body does literally heal when it's sleeping. But sometimes when you're at war, you got to just go. You know what I mean? Okay. So right now they arrived at the city of Manti before anybody else. And thus it came to pass that by this stratagem, we did take possession of the city Manti without the shedding of blood. And it came to pass that when the armies of the Lamanites did arrive near the city and saw that we were prepared to meet them, they were astonished exceedingly and struck with great fear, insomuch that they did flee into the wilderness. They were shocked that they didn't sleep, basically. Which if they had tried to fight, like, it would have been totally crazy, because these guys are going on zero sleep. Anyways, verse 30. Yea, and it came to pass that the armies of the Lamanites did flee out of this quarter of the land. But behold, they have carried with them many women and children out of the land. And those cities which had been taken by the Lamanites, all of them are at this period of time in our possession. So yay, they got all 6 of them back. Wait, was it 6? Wait, I remember there was like 11 at some point too. Anyway, and those cities which had been taken by the Lamanites, all of them are at this period of time in our possession. And our fathers and our women and our children are returning to their homes, all save it be those who have been taken prisoners and carried off by the Lamanites. So we do need to get those guys back, right? But let's see, hold on. Let's do a little recap here. Any quotes? Sometimes there's no quotes, and that's okay. So the Lamanites assumed that the Nephites were tired, and so they camped for the night. But Helaman and his army went another way. They marched through the night back to Manti. So they arrived there before the Lamanites to defend the city. You are. Imagine the surprise when the Lamanites returned to their city. And it was captured by the very army that they were chasing already there. Right? That would be so crazy. So they were astonished and fled into the wilderness. And then the Lamanite army fled out of that entire part of the land. So they gave up the city of Zeezrom. 2. So teaching opportunity here from Red Head Hostess, she says, you may want to point out how much strategy was a part of these battles. Both sides had strategies, but with the Lord's help, Helaman and the other armies prevailed. If you have teens, you could ask them to study and prepare a lesson around the talk called Watchful Unto Prayer Continually by Elder David A. Bednar, October 2019 General Conference. In this talk, he compares Satan's subtle strategies to a cheetah hunting for an antelope. Then they could then liken, and I'm pretty sure it was Topes. They could then liken what they have learned to these battles chapters and the principles that they learned from Helaman and his warriors. Man, that would be a great idea. Now, how do I warm my teenager's heart to do that? Right? Okay. Okay, verse 32 now. But, okay, this is the current state when Helaman wrote this letter to Moroni. Okay. But behold, our armies are small to maintain so great a number of cities and so great possessions. But behold, we trust in our God, who has given us victory over those lands, insomuch that we have obtained those cities and those lands which were our own. And some questions. Now we do not know the cause that the government does not grant us more strength, neither do those men who come up unto us know why we have not received greater strength. Behold, we do not know, but what ye are unsuccessful, and ye have drawn away the forces into that quarter of the land. If so, we do not desire to murmur. And if it is not so, behold, we fear that there is some faction in the government, that they do not send more men to our assurances or to our assistance, for we know that they are more numerous than that which they have sent. But behold, it mattereth not. We trust God will deliver us, notwithstanding the weakness of our armies, yea, and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies. Behold, this is the 29th year of the latter end, and we are in possession of our lands, and the Lamanites have fled to the land of Nephi. And those sons of the people of Ammon, of whom I have so highly spoken, are with me in the city of Manti. And the Lord has supported them, yea, and kept them from falling by the sword, insomuch that even one soul has not been slain. But behold, they have received many wounds. Nevertheless, they stand fast in that liberty wherewith God has made them free, and they are strict to remember the Lord their God from day to day. Yea, they do observe to keep his statutes and his judgments and his commandments continually. And their faith is strong in the prophecies concerning that which is to come. And now, my beloved brother Moroni, may the Lord our God, who has redeemed us and made us free, keep you continually in his presence. Yea, may he favor this people, even that ye may have success to obtaining the possession of all that which the Lamanites have taken from us, which was for our support. And now, behold, I close mine epistle. I am Helaman, the son of Alma. Wow. Amazing, right? Okay, so Elder Neal A. Maxwell quoted this verse when he taught. Those of deep faith do not murmur. They are generously disposed, and they are reluctant to murmur, even while in deep difficulties, as with one faithful group who said, behold, perhaps ye are unsuccessful. If so, we do not desire to murmur. It mattereth not. We trust God will deliver us, notwithstanding the weakness of our armies. End quote. It's so true. Excuse me. Elder Neal A. Maxwell, October 1982 General Conference. I do feel like when we are in a good place, we don't murmur. When we are in a good place where we are keeping the commandments, where we're close to the Spirit, we don't murmur. In fact, we actually think really highly of those around us. Not to the point where we are beating ourselves up because we're not like them or whatever, but like, I feel like for me anyway, when I'm good, like I always think the best of other people. I always think, oh, maybe something happened. Like I will create excuses for them in my mind because I genuinely don't think people are trying to be malicious, right? And so I think that's the difference between people who don't live close to the Spirit or don't live close to the Lord or don't have a relationship with Christ, that they start to listen to those whispers of Satan's attacks, like, oh, he must be doing this because of this, and they probably just are out to get you. And, like conspiracy theorists and things like that. Like there's a point where, yeah, a lot of those things could be true. Okay. But what do we choose to believe? And what story do we want to tell ourselves of our brothers and sisters, right? Satan pits us against each other. And so if I'm starting to feel feelings of like, I don't like that girl because she's, like this or whatever, and wearing this or whatever, like instead of feeling Christ-like love for her, I'm starting to feel this disgust and this jealousy and comparison and all this stuff. And it's not healthy for me to do that. And so it's going to be better for me to think positively, like, oh, whatever story I want to tell about this person in my mind, but I do need to get to know them, right? Instead of trying to assume what this person is like, I could just choose to get to know this person instead, so that I can have a story in my mind of who this person is and that they're a child of God and that they're not just an object, right? I think that's what Satan tries to do. He tries to objectify all of us to each other, right? Like he objectifies women through pornography and through men thinking, that we're just objects. But then he also objectifies women to women, where I've seen women as objects and as threats to my marriage and all these things because of just looking at them, just like what they're wearing or what they're doing, and that's so false. That's like the wrong way to look at things. And I love, I think it was Elder Holland or somebody, I can't remember who said, we are in a race against sin, not against each other. And I love that, because if I can just like back up a minute when I'm being like, when the whispers come in that way about my brothers or sisters, and then I can really think like, okay, this person is not out to get me and they're not trying to be malicious. This person is just my brother or my sister, and they are a child of God, and they're doing the best they can too. They're trying their hardest. They're not seeking to destroy my family on purpose or whatever, and so it's just one of those things. Like, and I think in high school it's like so bad because you're just surrounded, right? And like everybody feels like they're a competition for each other or with each other or against each other. It's like always some kind of competition. Anyway, and I'm glad I'm not in high school anymore. But I do remember after D-Day, going to church was the hardest thing, because Satan's whispers were just so powerful at that time, because my armor had gotten so broken and weak that I needed to rebuild my armor to a state that would be able to withstand those kinds of whispers. And it was so intense. Like, I couldn't even just sit in the sacrament meeting. Like, every person that gave a talk was like evil, and guys, you couldn't trust guys because they're all evil, right? Except President Nelson. That's like what I would tell myself. Anyway, and then women giving talks or sharing testimonies, it's like, oh, sure, you're so cute. I swear, like, Utah has like the cutest women on the planet. It's the worst. But I also thought that from Florida too. So like, it must just be me and the whispers, right? Anyway, so it's just like it's not that bad anymore. Like, I can control those things, those intrusive thoughts that Satan sends me, and I don't want to voice them because then they become more real, right? So I need to replace those thoughts in my mind. That is a brother who blah blah blah, and he's a nice guy, and this, and then this is a sister, and I know her and I've visited her, and she's so kind and she's always nice to my children, or you know what I mean? Like, different things that you can tell yourself aside from like all of the other whispers that we get. And so it does take work, but it is so worth it, right? Because then we can regain our power. We can take it back, because I hate that feeling of feeling like everybody is out to get me. Like, it's all torture, like these people are just here to torture me. And then what do? Then I want to stay home. I want to be by myself. I want to be alone. And that's not healthy for anybody. I mean, aside from like, sometimes you need that rejuvenation by yourself, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking, what I'm saying? Like, avoidance because of the whispers. I get that, but it's not healthy for us. And it's not the person that I want to be anyway. Like, that's not the kind of person I want to be. And so that went against my desire. So I needed to work on that. Anyway, so I just really think that is so important for us to not murmur, to ignore those whispers, to live close to the Spirit so that we can be more Christ-like and think of others as Christ would. So, okay. And then Helaman closes the letter to Moroni, and telling him that that his warriors were in the city of Manti, and after all this time, all the battles, not a single one had perished, and that they continued to stand fast in the liberty that wherewith God has made them free. And they are strict to remember the Lord their God from day to day. Okay. Really quick, I wanted to show you some pictures, but Flora is asking me for some attention. So one second. Okay, so I wanted to show you a couple pictures from our Come Follow Me manual. They were super cool. I did love this one of Moroni and the title of Liberty. So cool, right? Whoever did this one. But I don't know, like, this must have been a picture of Moroni a little bit later on, because he looks too old to be like 24 when he was put in charge of the army. So I'm guessing that's like after several battles. We're going to count that. And then there's another picture, which I really like over here. And this one is called They Did Not Doubt by Joseph Brickey. Brickley? Can you see it? Isn't that so cute? It's like such a good picture, but they made it small. And I'm like, why did they make that picture small? Okay, so maybe the artist didn't want it to be rendered big. But it's so cool, right? It just kind of puts you in that spot where the parents were sending off their warriors, their sons to be warriors, which they had never previously gotten training for. And then this one is so cool. It's called It's True, Sir, All Present and Accounted For by Clark Kelly Price. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? It's just awesome. So anyways, I love the story of the Stripling Warriors. So many things we can learn. And 1 second, miss. Reading 2 chapters at a time is so hard because she loves us. Okay, and really quick, it says followers of Jesus Christ are not easily offended. And don't you just love that? Elder David A. Bednar pointed. Oh, and you know what? We haven't read Pahoran's letter yet, and Moroni's letter, so we will save that for then. But I just love the way Helaman was like, I'm not offended that you guys didn't send stuff yet, and that we haven't received stuff yet from the mainland there. But he just assumed the best, and so let's assume the best of each other, okay, and not listen to what Satan is trying to tell us of each other, because it's not true, whatever he's saying. Because we know his lies are just meant to deceive us and to pit us against each other. So if there's somebody that you are feeling that angst for or whatever that you don't know, let's take time to possibly meet that person, to be able to put a story with that person. Because I think that would be more valuable than us just assuming all kinds of stuff about that person, and think more Christ-like of them. Because in the long run, it's going to help our heart to know that they are a child of God too, not just, it's not going to really even benefit them. Like if we hate somebody, it doesn't do anything to them, right? It's in our heart that has that poison. So anyway, all right, until tomorrow, until Alma chapter 59, stay strong, warrior.